The Girls Club, the Girls Club, the Girls Club. The Girls Club, the Girls Club, the Girls Club. It's my club and I'm a girl, yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to the Girls Club. I'm your president, Emily, and today I got a haircut. Genuinely, I think one of my favorite things in the world to do at this stage in my life is just like switch up the vibe, you know? Because I think what I've realized with my hair is like I have zero attachment to it. Yeah, I lived, oh my God, like from high school through college with blonde hair. And when I was in college, I had platinum blonde hair, like shit was blonde. What was that quote? It was like the people in Congress, and that one woman was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she was like, big, bleach blonde, butch body. Like, what did she say? It was so good. That's what I was giving in college. And yeah, it killed my hair. And so like I had a moment with that hair where it got like a hairstylist completely fucked up my hair. And ever since that moment of having quite literally like the worst, craziest hair of all time, I was like, it cannot get worse than this. So like, who the fuck cares? Also, my hair grows so quickly that every time I get a haircut, it's like I love it for like 4 days, and then it's like it's a bit like it doesn't look as good. Like it grows so quick. Like my hair wasn't even that long, and I got 4 inches cut off, but like today, and my last haircut was like, I don't know, 9 weeks ago, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, I mean, thank you to God. Thank you for blessing me with hair that grows quick. You kind of miss me with the hair that grows thick, but it grows quick, not thick, okay? So yeah, I chopped my hair. If you're not watching the video version, what the fuck are you doing? Go to the video version. It's on YouTube, Starnesey at YouTube. Watch the video version to see your president with her short, cunty ass bob. What's her name? B.O.B. So they calling you a bob? This is probably the truest bob I've ever had. Honestly, this is shorter than a bob. This is a French bob. Oui, oui. Como se dice? Wait, that's Spanish. How do you say? Oh, I feel like I don't know what the French version of that is, because I feel like whenever people like do a French accent, they just say how you say, and then they insert phrase in French. I don't know French. I never took French. I never claimed to know French.
I'm not a boxer. I'm not a fighter. I've never claimed to be a fighter.
That meme will never get old for me. It never will. I never claimed it would, and it never will. Oh my gosh, how are you guys? How the heck is everybody? Yeah. So I went and got my hair cut. Yeah, I just needed to change. So I feel like if you've been listening to this podcast for like a decent amount of time, y'all know that 2024 was just not my fucking year. Like shit was bad. I was depressed. I felt like I was just floating through life. Like literally, I just felt like I woke up every single day, did the bare fucking minimum to survive and not get fired, and then went to sleep and then did it again. Like I genuinely didn't like 2024 was such a blur for me, because like I don't even like have any memories from it, because it just was so mundane and numb and boring, and I didn't feel real. Like I feel like I was like dissociative with who I was for all of 2024. And at the first part of 2025, I was feeling very similar, which I'm sure a lot of you have been, with like all of this presidential shit and the craziness in the government and the world right now. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I talked about last week that like I went home and visited my parents, stayed with them for a week, and I had a conversation with my parents just about like my career, my goals, like what I'm trying to do, who I want to be, like where I see myself in 10 years and like all this stuff. And genuinely, like I don't know what flipped in my mind and what flipped in my head, but I feel like I have like come into a new era. And not to be like fucking dramatic, but like, oh, it's a new arc, it's a new era. But I genuinely feel like it was so weird. It's like I had this conversation with my dad about my career, and like, I don't know if this is relatable. It's probably relatable for some people, but it might not be for others. And maybe it's not your dad, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your grandpa, your cousin, your aunt, like whatever. But like the person in your life that you are like looking up to, and also like you don't want to disappoint, like that is my dad for me. Like my mom is very much a like, she's like a ride or die bitch. Like I could do anything and she would be proud of me. And my dad is the same way, but in my mind I didn't think that was the case. Like I felt like I was, you know, disappointing him with my like career choices and my like decision of life. And so like I had this genuine conversation with him about like kind of what I want to do and you know, my goals and all of this stuff. And I was afraid that he was going to be like disappointed, because my family is very much like everybody works like a corporate job, like for massive companies. Like both of my brothers work for huge companies, and like my dad, the majority of his career, he worked for like a very large like company. So he did like the corporate thing, and like I just had one job as an internship in college in that world, and that was enough for me to know I cannot be in that world. Like that is just not where I am meant to be. And I felt like by me choosing a different path, and by me like not doing what my brothers did and not doing what in my mind my dad did, like I was going to be like letting them down, or they would always be like worried about me and think that like I like wouldn't be successful or whatever. But I had this conversation with my dad because I work for like a small company, and you know, I've been there for 4 years now, and I've seen them through so much change in the organization. I mean, when I came on, there was only my boss who was doing all of the marketing department, and then it was me and her, and now I have somebody under me that I manage. And so like there's been so much growth at my company and in my team as well. Like if you work at a small organization, you know how much like is on the shoulders of the marketing department when there's a 1 person, 2 person, 3 person thing. Like you do it all. And so like the benefit of that is you get so much more experience than you would if you worked at like a massive corporation that has a 100-person marketing department and or 100-person accounting or whatever the like section is. Like you will get way more experience at a small organization over a broad, you know, category of things than you would in a larger organization. And not that one is better than the other, because one might say, well, you become an expert at the one thing that you do, and like, you know, that's awesome as well. But for me, somebody who I can't have every day look the same or I will go crazy. And for me, who is somebody who is on the creative side, like I love making stuff, I just knew I couldn't do the marketing route of a corporate organization, because like I can't just do the data side. I can't just do the, you know, products and services side. I need to do a lot of things to keep myself satisfied. And so I had this conversation with my dad, and I was just scared to be like, I think the thing is like when you have family who does like corporate, this might not be relatable to anybody, but I'm sorry, I have to get this off my chest, because I feel like I've entered this new era of my life where I have direction and feel like I know what I want to do and all this shit. And I feel I feel something for the first time in a year. And so like, I just have to get this out there. Because this was the one thing that switched it all for me. And so I had this conversation with my dad, and I just felt like it was going to be disappointing for him, because I just basically put it out there that like, I'm never going to go climb the ladder at a corporate company. I'm never going to be that girl who, you know, switches jobs every 2 years to build my resume and to get an increase in salary and to do all this stuff, because I love working at a small company and I love being part of the growth of of that organization. I love having ownership over what I do. I like having like the CEO be able to, you know, provide me feedback on the stuff that I'm making. And I like to see how what I do like affects the bottom line, and to have like ownership in my work. And so I just basically laid that out. So basically what that means is like, I'm never going to make a lot of money. You know, it's in the grand scheme of what could be made in a quote marketing career. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just never going to be the CMO at like a fucking giant ass company. That's just not the reality that I am ever going to live, because I know that's not what is going to bring me satisfaction. And I had that conversation with him. And for a lot of people, that's like, okay, so what? Like, you still have a job, you're still doing the thing, you're still making money. But like, when you have like a parent who is like the definition of like the corporate parent, and you went to business school and you got your MBA, and you have this path set for you to do one thing, and I have the connections to do that if I wanted to. Like, I could get a job today at this organization that, you know, he had his whole career at where my brothers work at whatever, if I really wanted to. And so I was afraid I was going to be like letting him down. And he was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm so proud of you for you know, having confidence in your career and having like a game plan and knowing like what you want and how you are going to achieve those goals. And he goes, and B, I started working as, you know, or I started working at a small ad agency. It was me and one other guy. And he's like, and on the side, I was managing a rock and roll band, and we were touring the United States. So like, he's like, I did not take a conventional route. And then after that, I went and worked at ad agencies, like small companies, and watched them grow and work through that. And he was like, it wasn't until later in my career that I went to the corporate side of things because an opportunity opened up. But he was like, I didn't just always do this. And I don't know, like, I don't know why I feel like crying, but oh my God, what the fuck? It's like, my biggest fear for my family is like being a disappointment. Why am I crying? Literally. And my parents have always told me how proud of me they are. Like, that's never been a missing piece of my development. And like, I have like the greatest parents ever. And like, my dad specifically is like the type of dad that has always, oh my God, why am I crying? Has always been like so affectionate, and like, you know, there was never like missing statements of love or like saying he was proud of me or whatever. And so I don't know why I felt like he wasn't, but to hear him say that, and to be like, I guess to have trust that I know what I'm doing and that I am a competent adult, it like literally, guys, like that shit like changed my life. Like, I feel like I am a new person. I feel like I have purpose again. I feel like I'm like, I like woke up from this like haze that I've been in for like a year. And I have like motivation to like get up and do shit and like work hard and whatever. Like, and I have ideas now of like shit I want to do personally and like videos and stuff. And like, I just got some stuff that I just like, you know, like planned out a video for YouTube to start shooting and filming that and whatever. And just like, it's crazy that like I'm almost 30 years old, but like my parents' approval subconsciously mattered so much to me, to the point of like, I was like, felt like I had this like crippling position of, I don't know what to do. And I know I talked about like a couple of club meetings back, I said it, club meeting. I didn't say podcast. I talked about a couple club meetings back about like, you know, when's it time to just like pick up and move and switch and like, you know, pivot your career and like do all this stuff. And, you know, at the time that felt like the right thing to do because I felt like I had no control over anything in my life. And I was like, you know, if I just pick up and move and go to a new city and start over, like that's going to make me not want to shoot myself in the head with a gun. But I think I just realized I was like, I'm just running away from this, not problem, but this like void. And I was trying to fill it with other things. And sometimes I definitely think it's appropriate to move and to do whatever and, you know, make drastic change in your life and your career or whatever. But like, I just realized that's not what I was wanting to do. I think my friend passing away this year, like fucked me up way harder than I ever like acknowledged. And specifically like he worked at the same company I worked at. And so I think that also made me think like I needed to go. Like I needed to just like get out and like move on. But then I was like looking at my life and I was like, my job and like who I am at work is something that like legitimately like makes me happy because I enjoy what I do. Like it sounds so dumb because like I don't really give a fuck about, you know, working and climbing the ladder and whatever, but I do give a fuck about the work that I do and I do enjoy what I do and I have grown so much in that side of my career that is also like reflected onto this because, you know, I learned so much in my job and I have so much support behind me. And so like I don't know, like I finally decided that I want to stay here. As much as I'm kind of over Nashville, I also feel like the past 2 years, I haven't put myself out there. I haven't tried to make friends. I haven't tried to, you know, experience shit. And I'm going to challenge myself this year to stepping outside of my comfort zone with social things, with, you know, putting an effort towards my friendships more because genuinely last year, it's not that I didn't want to. It's not that I wanted to ignore my friends and to just isolate myself. It's like, I feel like I had to. I needed to. I couldn't physically get myself to pick up the phone and text people or call people or make plans or do anything because like I was A, mourning and B, just like floating through life. And I guess I needed that year of just like, what the fuck to figure out what I wanted to do. And also something that my like one of my like best friends, me and her talked on the phone this week. We like had this conversation about like acknowledging everything that we've done. You know, it's like we specifically if you're my age and younger, like you probably had COVID start at a time in your life that was like super important, whether that be high school, whether that be college, whether that be like early adulthood. Like when that shit started, it was my senior year of college. I didn't get to walk at graduation. The job market was shit. I didn't have anything lined up after graduation that I wanted to do. Like I went to grad school because honestly I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do, and they got rid of the entrance exam to get into MBA for that year because of COVID, and they didn't have like the online test like set up yet. So I just went in based off of my GPA and like interview and stuff. So that was another thing because like I'm not a good test taker. So the fact that I didn't have to take a test, I was like, okay, well, might as well. You know what I mean? Like I went to more school because I did not know what the fuck I wanted to do. And I feel like I lost like that moment in time of like my senior year, and you know, it's getting to say goodbye to that part of my life was just taken away from me because we all had to go home and quarantine. And yeah, I think that like left me in this spiral of like just going and never taking a moment to just stop and like acknowledge all the work that you've done, all of the effort that you've put into life to get you to where you are today. And I just kept looking forward and being like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? How can I do this? And trying to fill this void, where I think the biggest part of the void was just like being proud of everything that my past self had done to set me up to this point, and acknowledging all of like the hard work and effort that was put in to get me to the point that I am at now, to be able to make these decisions. Yeah, just like I had like a lot of introspection like when I was home and like the week after that, and that's just where I'm at right now. And so I wanted to say I appreciate you guys who have been here this past year. It's almost been a year of me doing this podcast since my last podcast like, you know, ended. And that was another thing. It was like I was doing that, I thought that was gonna go somewhere, and like I thought, you know, I was on the same page with the person I was doing it with, and like things change, and like that's just life, like shit happens. And so I had to quickly pivot from that. I never had a moment to like kind of like mourn the end of that, and I just had to jump straight into this because I didn't want to lose the audience that I had over there by just dropping off the face of the internet and then popping back up out of nowhere. So I just was like, thought the best move was to just keep going, and I don't disagree with that. I'm happy that I did that because I'm afraid if I stopped, I wouldn't have the confidence to just get back into it. But in the same breath, like I never acknowledged all that shit that I did, you know, and the work that went into doing that. So yeah, that's all I had to say about that. It's kind of like a intense way to start the club meeting, but I don't know. I just would encourage you all to just like step back and like look at your life and look at all of the things that you've done to get to where you are today, whether that's go to school, whether that's, you know, raise a child. We've all done shit that's like, I know we haven't taken a moment to like look back and be like proud of ourselves for doing that, and acknowledging and like thanking your past self for like setting you up to where you are today. And I needed to do that. You know, I needed to acknowledge everything that I've done because I feel like I'm constantly looking at the holes in my life and trying to fill those by accomplishing other things and doing more things. And, you know, instead of stepping back and be like, okay, you've done a lot. Like I know you might feel empty, but you have accomplished so much, and you need to acknowledge that, or you're never going to like be satisfied with what the fuck else you're adding to your plate, what the fuck else you're trying to accomplish. And yeah, I just did that. And I had the same conversation with my roommate the other day because she's going through, you know, some big life changes as well. And I think we all just need that. Like, we need somebody to say that they're proud of us. So I'm proud of you. Whatever you've done, I'm so proud of you for doing that, because it's like making decisions for yourself, and not because somebody told you to, and not because, you know, it's the easiest route, is so fucking hard, regardless of what that is. If it's your career, if it's, you know, your living situation, if it's the school that you went to or didn't go to, whether it's, you know, the friends that you still have or the friends that you cut off, like everything that you do to become a better version of yourself is worthy of acknowledgement. You know, like even if it's something so small. So yeah, I just wanted to say, like, with how terrible the world is and like how negative everything is, and how I'm like looking back and realizing how negative I have been for the past fucking year. I just want to say that like I'm sorry, and I also wanted to say thank you for sticking around. And my goal for this year is to like find the joy and like look at the bright side of shit, and, you know, acknowledge the fuckery that's going on, but also not letting that rule my mind, like not letting the negativity and the shit that's going on like hold more space than it needs to in my brain. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to keep fighting for change. I'm going to keep, you know, making a difference in the ways that I can. But there's so many things that I don't have control over, and I don't need to be constantly spiraling and thinking about, because it's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help me. It's not going to help anything. And yeah, that's just that. Okay, well, I already cried this episode, so check that off the box, off the list of things that I hate doing in public. So last night I thought that it would be an awesome idea to wax my armpits at home, and I ordered this kit off of Amazon. It's like soft wax. It's not hard wax. So it comes in like a stick, and like you plug it into the wall, it warms it up, and then you take the wax and you put it on a waxing strip, you stick it on your body, and you rip it off. Right? Okay. Self-explanatory. So the thing it is, the first couple times trying to do it, I just put it directly on my skin, and it was really hard to put on. And so I was like, oh, I guess I just gotta let it get hot or whatever. And then I kept waiting, and like it didn't get easier to put on. So like I was putting it on my skin, but it's kind of pulling my skin the whole time. And I was like, whatever. So then I did like a couple of passes of like ripping it off, and not a lot of hair was coming off, but it was hurting, like really hurting. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just keep going. So then I finally switched to putting the wax on the strip and pulling it off that way. And more hair came out, but like it still wasn't perfect. Also, I don't think my hair was quite long enough. So basically, all that to say, I fucked up my armpits. I think I pulled the top layer of skin off. I was bleeding. I have bruising, actually. Let me just show you. Also, right now, it looks so much better. Like, you guys, I should have taken a picture last night. It was crazy. There was, like, blood and purple, like, bruises all over it. But let me show you what it looks like now. It still hurts. Like, last night, I was in so much pain. I had to take, like, a bunch of, like, ibuprofen and shit. And today, it's still burning and hurting. But let me show you. Yeah. What does the other one look like? The other one is not as bad because by the time I got to my right armpit, that was like my second one, I had like gotten a better grasp of what the fuck I was doing. My left one is bad. Like it hurts very bad. And I definitely went over it way too many times. So if you are a waxer, you would have like been cringing, yelling at me to stop, like freaking out, honestly, like probably the whole time I was doing it, because I just kept going. It was like, oh, no hair came up, I guess I'll try again. Rip. Oh, only like 6 hairs came out, I guess I'll try again. So I kept going over the same spot like 10 times, to the point where I was like, God, this really fucking hurts. Like, I feel like it shouldn't hurt this bad. And then afterwards, it literally looks like somebody took like a hot iron and just like held it on my armpit and just burned the flesh off. Like, it looks so bad. But yeah, so next time I'm going to put the wax on the strip first, get some baby powder or something. Cause I think that was also the issue, is like, I had my armpits completely cleaned and like dry, but like whenever you're waxing, like it hurts, so you kind of get like a bit sweaty. So I kept having to like wipe it down with like a towel or whatever, but it wasn't like getting all of the oil and shit off of my skin. So I feel like the wax wasn't really like holding on to the hair the way that it should, because it wasn't completely like powder dry. So I will be getting like baby powder the next time I try to do it, and letting it get way longer. Because everything I looked up was like quarter inch. And I was like, what does that mean? You know? Does it look like I have rulers in my eyes? Does it look like I can just spot a quarter inch from a mile away? What am I, a fucking bald eagle? Yeah, no. So I don't think it was quite long enough. It was probably like, I don't know. But I had a lot of confidence in me doing it, because I've seen so many people do it, and they do it like so easy and like act like it's no fucking big D. But like that shit was hard to do. And also like, my God, it hurts so bad. Like it still hurts so bad today. But yeah, 10 out of 10, don't recommend. And maybe I needed like hard wax or something, but This kit on Amazon had really good reviews, and this influencer that I follow like uses it, and it works great for her. I just think I don't know what I'm doing. So I will be trying again probably in like a month. I need to let that skin recover like so long. It's so fucked. I hope I don't have scarring. Like that would really, really, really be sad. But yeah, I don't know why either, because like I think I just wanted like a bald fucking armpit. Like I just wanted that shit to be like bald, because I used to do laser hair removal. Like when I was in college, I did laser hair removal on my armpits and my and like I did a full Brazilian on my downstairs laser, and it was awesome. Like that shit was amazing. I never had to shave, because the reason I did this was I have really bad ingrown hairs, specifically like when I was like dancing, because like you have to basically be clean shaven like all the time during competition season, because I mean you're wearing stuff that's very like, I mean like you're wearing like leotards and shit like around your crotch area. Some of our costumes we didn't wear like tights with, so it was just like underwear basically. And I mean, if you weren't clean shaven, people were gonna see, like, you know what I'm saying? And so like I was getting such bad ingrowns because I was having to shave so frequently that I just got to the point where I was like, talked to my mom, and she had done laser hair removal and was like, well, why don't you just do this? So I started like my senior year of high school, and then I did it through college, because that's what they don't tell you about laser hair removal is like, it's not for forever. It's just like temporary, and eventually like, because your body will like naturally start like repairing itself, like those hair follicles and shit, like they're gonna regrow. So like even though they're like it kills your hair follicle and it won't grow hair back again, like it will. Do I have way less hair than I probably would have if I didn't ever do it? Probably. Like my armpit hair genuinely takes like, it grows quote quickly, but because I got laser hair removal, like it's not a lot. Like it's not thick. The hair follicle itself is kind of like thin, and it's not a ton. Like if I grew out all of my armpit hair, it would look stupid, because like there's not a lot of it. So that's why I was like, oh, I'll just wax, because I'm sick of shaving like every single day. So I was like, oh, I'll just grow it out, wax it, and then I'm good for like a couple weeks. You know, I don't have to fuck with it anymore. And since summer is approaching, I was like, I should start now, so that way like I'm an expert by the time it's like swimsuit season and tank top season and all this shit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to relearn how to do it, because holy fuck. So if you are a waxer, an esthetician, like whatever, you have experience with waxing, please let me know some tips, because yeah, I really fucked myself up. Not good. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about is on the Girls Club Instagram this week, which if you're not following, go follow the girlsclub.pod on Instagram. Y'all know the fucking story. On the Girls Club Instagram this week, I asked y'all about some like gross girl stuff, because the week before, somebody I said, I put out a ask me anything, and somebody was like, I want more gross girl content. And like, as somebody who is inherently gross, I was like, say less, you know? So I asked you guys, what is some of the grossest things that you do? And I'm gonna air it out for everybody, because that's like, the one thing about me is like, my goal is to not be relatable. My goal is to be authentic. My goal is to just be myself, regardless of what stage of life I'm in, regardless of my success or failures. Like, I just always want to be genuine and real. So you might not relate to this. And if you don't, that's probably a good thing. Like, congrats. You won the fucking most dainty clean girl award of all time. Like, whatever. Like, I'm not a dirty person. I'm definitely like have weird like compulsory things when it comes to cleanliness of myself, because of like trauma, I feel like. So there's not a ton of stuff that I do like where it's like, oh, I haven't showered in a week, or I haven't done this, that, or the third. The gross things I do in my life are more like broad than that. Like, it's, we'll get into it, but just know. So I'm going to talk about your guys' stuff, and then if I agree, Or if I do the same thing, I'll let y'all know. And if I don't do the same thing, we listen and we don't judge. So let's get into it. First one, share food with my dog off the same fork. To me, not that gross. Like in the scale of like 1 to fucking disgusting, and disgusting is 10, I would say that's probably like a 2. Like to me, that's not that gross. Especially if it's like your dog. It's kind of like when you share food with like your kid and like they kind of like backwash the water or whatever. It's like, well, it's just like your kid. Like who cares? Like, so to me, not that gross. It would be grosser if it was like y'all lick the same lollipop. You know, because if it's like off the same fork, it's like, I don't know, not that serious. But if it's like lick for lick on a lollipop with your dog, that's kind of gross to me. So not that gross. This one said, fuck men. I agree. That's probably the grossest thing that I've ever done is have sex with men. And yeah, I will say the other night I had a dream that like, I had a dream. Martin Luther King be like, rest in peace, rest in power, Martin Luther King. Yeah, I had a dream the other day about a man and like intimate relations with one, and I was like, damn it. Even in my dreams, I can't escape them. Yes, I agree. That is pretty gross. Up 10. 10 out of 10 gross. Fill my passenger seat floorboard to the brim with Red Bull cans, water bottles, etc. This I can get behind. The thing about me is I have a tiny car. So my car is like a little 2-door Honda Accord. I love her. Like, genuinely, I am never going to be a big car girl. Like, I have just realized that like a little car is just my vibe. My best friend in high school drove a Volkswagen Bug, like convertible, like the yellow one. Like, oh my God, like I loved riding in that thing. It's just like a 2-seater car. My car has like a row of back seats. So it's like a little bench seat kind of thing in the back. But like, I don't drive people around. The best thing about about a little car too is like you're never the driver of the group, because nobody wants to crawl through the front seats in the back seat. It's awesome. So yeah. But having a small car means it gets dirty very quickly. Like you could have like 2 things in your car and shit looks crazy. When I was in my like peak, like depressive year, well, I mean, I've had a lot of those. I was going to say my peak depressive year, I was like, well, that was kind of last year. But the year before that, I was also depressed. 2 years running. I had this like problem where I would get like a drink and a treat like every day. Like that is what made me feel something. So once I finished it, I just kind of like threw it on the ground. Y'all remember that Lonely Island sketch? I took it and threw it on the ground. What you think, I'm stupid? My dad's not a phone. Duh. That is going to put me at the millennial age bracket, I fear. Because I feel like not real Gen Z. I'm real Gen Z. I'm the OG Gen Z, okay? 1997. Fuck off. But younger Gen Z, you're going to be like, what's that? Speaking of younger Gen Z, my coworker, she just graduated college last year. So she is 23, like just turned 23 maybe like right at the end of 2024. Dude, she had never heard Lucky by Britney Spears before. I was like, oh my God, Goodwill find of the fucking century. Let me tell y'all. I was at Goodwill over the weekend. Sorry, we'll get back to the gross girl stuff in just a second. This is like ADHD brain right now. And so I've been getting into CDs recently because this is another thing in my era of like, you know, enjoying life. And like one thing I've realized is like when I'm in the car, like I don't want to use my phone. I'm tired of using my phone all the fucking time for everything. Like I'm always on my phone because my job at work, like I do social media and stuff. With this, I'm always on my phone. I'm posting TikToks all the time. I'm scrolling. I'm like, get me off this thing. I fucking hate it. I love it, but I'm like, I need a break. And so I was like, I just want to listen to CDs sometimes. I'm tired of trying to like fucking find new music constantly. I'm tired of my playlist. I just give me a CD. And so I've been like collecting a lot of CDs recently. I just ordered the CD player. You guys, oh my God, I cannot wait. I cannot wait till it gets here. They don't make any more of them. Like they made a certain amount and then they didn't make any more. But it is a CD player that you can connect to your Bluetooth headphones. Okay? And if you know anything about CD players, like they don't really make those. So I got one. It's like a portable one too. It takes AA batteries, so you don't even have to fucking charge it. I'm so sick of fucking chargers. Like, God, just put batteries in it. It's like this like Sony limited edition one. It's fucking cool as shit. It's like see-through, so you can see all the hardware inside of it. It's so cool. And that's coming in next week. And oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I ordered a bunch of like CDs and like a CD burner. So I'm going to start like burning my own CDs, making my own little mixtapes. I got a CD holder in my car. So like I just pop CDs in. But I was at Goodwill. I found Now 5. And you're like, okay, what's that? Back in the day before we had fucking Apple Music and streaming and all that shit, and this is kind of like pre-iTunes, we had CDs, and there was this one company that made CDs, and it was called Now. Now That's What I Call Music is like the name of the company. And so they would make CDs of like the top like 15 songs of that year. So it'd be like that, Now 1, Now 2, Now 3, Now 4, Now 5, all the way up until like whatever. And they would also do Now That's What I Call Hip Hop. Now That's What I Call Christmas. Like they had all these fucking CDs, okay? I found Now 5. And you're like, what's significant about Now 5? You know how I've been in my Y2K era. Now 5 is the year 2000. Or maybe it was 1999. It might have been 1999. You guys, it has Lucky. It has It's Gonna Be Me. It has fucking Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely. It has Shake Your Ass, Watch Yourself. Shake your ass, show me what you're working with. Except it's a clean version, so it says Shake It Fast. It has Aaron Carter's song on it where he's like singing about like the party that he throws at his house, and it's like so funny, Kids Bop vibes. It has Destiny's Child, Jumpin'. Like, oh my God, it is like fucking perfect. And I was telling her about this, and she didn't know what Now was. I was like, oh my God, I'm so old. And she didn't know, she'd never heard of Lucky by Britney Spears. And she was like, that's probably like one of her more niche ones. I was like, girl, that's like top 5 bangers of Britney's career. Like, what? You don't know Lucky? I felt so old. But yeah, that was a sad, sad time for me. Okay, next one. Sometimes I get too lazy to shower and I just wash my hair instead so I look clean. I feel that. I don't know why. I think maybe it was because like my whole life, I've always sweat so much. Like I sweat constantly. So for me, like I genuinely don't feel tired or like comfortable until I've like washed my body. Like even when I'm so fucking exhausted and I'm like, I don't want to take a shower, I have to in order to like feel calm. Like it's the weirdest thing. So I am always somebody who showers. Like even when I was like an alcoholic and I would like black the fuck out and get so drunk, I still would shower and take my makeup off and like everything. Like that's just how I've always been. And I genuinely think it's because I sweat so much. So if I don't, like I'm genuinely like really gross. Like I'm sweaty. My armpits right now, sweating like crazy. But I do understand that not just when I was in college specifically, but like I probably did it more in college than I do as an adult because I'm not always like, I feel like as an adult right now with like hybrid work environments and stuff, I don't have to always look presentable. Like, so it's okay if my hair is kind of greasy or whatever. But what I would do if I like needed to wash my hair really quickly so it looked like clean or presentable is I would put my hair in like a low ponytail and only pull out like the very top part of my hair and just wash that part. So it's like the top hair that is seen by everybody looked clean and the rest like looked really, you wouldn't know that it was greasy. So I've done that like so many times. And when you have bangs, like you have to wash your bangs basically every single day because they lay on your face, and so you're like your makeup and your face oil and everything gets on it. So I do that constantly of like just washing my hair. But I feel that, you know, like some people's like when they get super depressed, like they can't shower, they can't brush their teeth, they can't whatever. So I totally understand not showering. This one might be up there with one of the grossest things that is on this list. So you get the crown. Pick up my rabbit's poop with my bare hands. She did clarify though that she does wash her hands right after. Oh my god, that is so funny. Okay, so rabbits are like so cute and they're so soft. Like that is like the one animal that is like the softest animal of all time. But my big turnoff for a rabbit as like a pet, because I've genuinely considered, I was like, if I didn't want like a dog or a cat, I was like, what's another small animal? I was like, I don't ever want a hamster, because I manically bought a hamster when I was in college one time, and y'all, that shit is not fun. They don't like you. Like they don't like people, you know? And I understand why. Like people are giant and they're small and like they don't want to be messed with and whatever. But like it wasn't fun. I was like, okay, I might as well just get a fucking fish. Like, you know what I mean? At least a fish is easier. I don't have to clean their damn fucking poop, and like I just have to like clean their tank and whatever. So I was like, what's another animal? I was like, oh, rabbit. And then I was like, rabbit, like it's too big of an animal to like have just in a cage. So like, do you have to potty train it so it poops in like a certain area of your house? You know what I'm saying? Because like I feel like on TikTok I've seen people who have rabbits and they just let that thing shit in the house. And you got me fucked up. Like I am not doing that because I genuinely am so scared of insects. Like that is like top 3 biggest fears. So like I would be scared like that would attract bugs or something. So yeah, I guess, is it a free range rabbit? And slash, do you just like are they potty trainable like a cat? Like could you just like train it to poop in one area? I don't know. I'm sure you can. I'm sure people do. But yeah, rabbits are very cute. Picking up its poop with your bare hands, so is actually crazy. Like I love you, and I'm, you know, I listen and I don't judge, but that is crazy. But thank you for washing your hands after. I'm glad you clarified that. This one says, I have one little pore on my nipple. I have to squeeze every day because it gets clogged. LOL. It's so funny you say that because I have like a pore on my nose. It's like right in the middle of my nose, and I feel like I need to go to a dermatologist and have them like laser it or something. I also have like a skin tag underneath my right eye that is like, I hate the way it looks so much. I need to get it like lasered off, but I genuinely just like don't want to pay for it. But I have like a pore on my nose that I will do that too. Like once a month, I'll just notice it getting a bit too big, and so I squeeze it, and then I like get a scab on my nose for doing that. But every day is kind of wild. Like maybe go see a dermatologist. I don't know. But it's probably satisfying. Like I love squeezing pimples. I love popping pimples. That is like my biggest like guilty pleasure that I know I shouldn't do because I know it's leading to scarring on my face and I know it's like bad or whatever, but like that is so hard for me not to do. Like if I see a zit on my face, like it is taking everything in my power not to squeeze it, especially if it gets to a whitehead. Oh my God, I don't know how people just let it go like that. Like how do you go out in public with a whitehead and it's just like asking to be squeezed? Like it's begging to be squeezed and you just like let it go. But I'm jealous of you because then in like a day or whatever, once it finally just like goes away, you don't have hyperpigmentation scars all over your face like I do. Like my face looks like a war zone in certain areas because I've just gone to town on zits, squeezing them and whatever. So I'm very jealous. So you guys are not that gross. Like those were not that gross. I wrote down some of mine to share. When I pull out my Diva cup in the shower, I like to pour it into my hand. And so what I mean by that is, you ever just want to feel your own blood? Because it's like the thickness of period blood is something that is like low-key satisfying as fuck. And that might be gross to some of you guys, but to me, it's like, it's just my insides. It's my insides coming to my outside. So it's like, I'm acknowledging its presence, really. But I like to pour it in my hand and then I'm like in the shower, and then I like to like watch it like fall down my fingers, and then it like falls onto the floor of my shower. It kind of looks like a crime scene for a second, and then it just goes away. Yeah. I saw this girl on TikTok, and she pours her period blood into this like little container and then puts it on like an altar and does some sort of like ritual thing, and then she takes it outside and pours it on a tree. And I did see her period blood. So like I would have fucked with the whole story. I would have like appreciated the whole story, but it's like the fact that she showed it, I was kind of like, that seems intimate, you know? Tell me about it. You know, I want to hear the lore. I want to hear the story. But looking at somebody else's period blood on the internet was kind of crazy. Not gonna lie. Didn't love it. Did not love to look at somebody else's period blood. I will say hers was not very clumpy. Maybe she put it through a sieve. It's filtered period blood. Oh my God. Okay. The other thing that I wrote down, this isn't like that gross. I feel like it's very normal, but I was watching this YouTube video the other day, and the YouTuber said that they didn't look at their toilet paper after they wiped when they shit. Like they just wipe and then drop it back. They wipe and then drop it back. Like they don't look at it to check to see if there's any poop still on there. And I'm like, I look every time. Every single time I wipe and I go number 2 when I drop the kids off at the pool, I'm looking because I don't want to put my pants back on if there's something still there. Like the fuck? And they claim that they could just tell. And I was like, how? Because sometimes I will think I'm like good to go, and like it's still there. It's still there. It's still there. It's like infinity mode. Like I keep wiping. And then finally it's good. But like, no. So I thought it was super normal to like look at your toilet paper after you wiped your butt. But apparently some people don't do that. So yeah, maybe that's gross for some people. But sometimes it is crazy. Like after you've eaten like a lot of berries, and then you look at it and you're like, wow. It looks like bird shit with all the seeds in there. Also, if you eat blue corn tortilla chips, your poop will be like green. Fun fact. Oh, guys, that's about as much gross stuff as I can talk about today. But I think that's going to conclude this week's club meeting. Thanks for listening to me get a bit emotional at the beginning, but I just want to say I love you all so much. I'm so happy you're here. I know things are terrible right now, but I am trying to, you know, approach life with like optimism and, you know, look at the good through all the fucking bad and through all the bullshit, and just to start like living. And I would encourage you to do the same, because we just get older. You know, time doesn't stop. We keep aging, and life will pass you by before you know it if you don't, you know, start enjoying it. So that's what I'm going to challenge myself to do this year, is enjoy life a bit, and hope you do the same. But I love you, and I'll see you next week's club meeting. Bye.
The Girls Club, the Girls Club, the Girls Club. The Girls Club, the Girls Club, the Girls Club. It's my club and I'm a girl, yeah.